You are now listening to the Building Her Dream podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with introverted women entrepreneurs who are building their dream lives and businesses on their own terms. Hosted by business operations strategist, author, and the founder of Building Her Dream, Shayla Burton. To learn more about this podcast and our magazine, visit www.buildingherdream.com. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Shayla Burton, and this is the Building Her Dream podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest. She is a life strategist and podcast host where she helps moms with ADHD uncover the secrets to creating a schedule that keeps their mama brain focused and in flow. She is the founder of The Charmed Life. All the way from Michigan, we have Charmaine Fuller. Hi, Charmaine. Welcome to the show.
I love that intro. Thank you so much, Shayla. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for being here. Now, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that we are all about living the dream life and building businesses to help us get that dream life. So, Charmaine, I want to ask you, if you could wake up tomorrow and have the perfect dream life, what would that look like? So where would you be? What would you be doing? What's your dream?
So, ironically, Michigan is my dream state. I love the season.
Okay.
Only second to like Colorado because I love snow. So those would be my dream places.
Okay.
Those would be my dream places. I would have not a whole bunch of land, but I want to be close enough. Like, I'm so weird. I want to be close enough to like Target, but not so close to where I have neighbors, because I don't want neighbors. I love people, but not when we have to share like common spaces. So, I mean, like, we have our own yard, but I like to be able to go out in my yard and just not have to say hi to nobody.
Okay.
My kids would be on property and my parents would be on property. Like, I do like that sense of community. And my husband's mom would probably be on property. His father is ride or die country boy, so he has his own property. But yeah, my perfect day would just, like, I've not thought about this. My perfect day, like, I'm just kind of up in the morning, communicating with my family, having conversations, just connecting with them. And then I really don't start working until like mid-afternoon, but then I'm only working for like 2 or 3 hours. And then I'm fluttering off. My goal in life is to be a philanthropist. Like, really, I do all of this so I can write checks and help other people's dreams come true. That is my ultimate goal. That is the ultimate. Like, I want to do a, what is the guy's name? He was a race car driver. He had the salad dressing. Oh God, what was his name? But that business with like the salad dressing and stuff funded all of his foundations and charitable things that he gave to. And I'm like, that is a dope idea, because there's only so much money you need to live off of. Like, I don't need to have like a 10,000 square foot house, chinchilla coats, and dripping in diamonds. I'm a really simple girl. Just feed me, let me play in my garden. Any excess money, I don't mind. Like, okay, if it can help somebody else, if I can't use it all, then let it serve and help somebody else. So that is my goal. It's in some way, shape, or form, be a philanthropist.
That's a beautiful dream. So you want to help people, have a family compound, which is what
like Dallas
people have said. Yeah.
Like Dallas.
But you're the first person that has said they like the snow and want to be where it snows.
My husband does not feel the same. He is from Florida. We will probably end up in Florida, but it is agreed that we will have still a house here, because when it turns like 90 gazillion degrees with humidity, I will not be there. I love him, and I just won't be there. That's not, that is not the calling God has for my life, to be in extreme heat. I'll be in Michigan where it's 70 on a summer's day, and I'll be good to go.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur? Like how did it start?
So it started out as me working with moms that had kids with special needs that had IEPs. And it started with me just providing advice, things that I had done, things that I had known, shortcuts, resources that I had found, and sharing it with other moms specifically, sharing it with other
Mhm.
moms, um, just what I knew and how it could help them and how to organize it in such a way.
Okay.
Somebody said you can get paid for this. And I'm like, I love doing it. Like, what do you mean I can get paid for it? And so that's how I initially started. I began to realize that the problem never, like the base of the problem wasn't the fact that they couldn't get these external pieces of IEP together. Like that was a part of the struggle, but it wasn't
Mhm.
the foundation of why they were so stressed. And so as I began to dig, they're stressed because everything else around them is also in flux and, kind of 50 million moving pieces all at once. I also discovered that many of my moms were also neurodiverse.
Mm.
So a lot of the things, helping them to create, in essence, their own IEP plan. So an IEP is an individualized education plan that's built for
Okay.
kids that are, it's either an IEP or a 504, but helping these moms build that for themselves and begin to create a life that worked with their brain and everything like that versus trying to do all the things all the time for all the people and not having a space in their life to flow. And so my business just evolved over the years from, working with parents with special needs kids to
Mhm.
really helping moms that are also neurodiverse and just trying to figure these things out and handle their own neurodiversity while they support their child or children that also have maybe similar or similar struggles.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. So when did you start your actual business?
I actually started, I think it was like 2008.
Okay.
And there were several like renditions of it, because of how my life was. That's one of the things that I had to learn. The season of your life when you're a mom, that dictates how hard you get to go in a thing sanely and
Mhm.
without burning out. And when you have this idea or this dream in your head, sometimes you negate that. So there were lots of bouts of burnout because I was working and doing beyond what my current status really allowed. I had 3 kids, 2 on the spectrum, one that had high medical needs. And then I had this baby, and I'm trying to like build this thing because social media makes it look like all you have to do is get up at 4 a.m. and be committed and all this other stuff. And so I fell into that. I call it bro marketing,
Okay.
where if all I did was work harder and do more things, do more things in relation to my business, that I would flourish and, I would thrive and grow. And I did have growth, but what always ended up happening was I would get burned out. I would say, F this, and I would stop because my family always came first. No matter how much I love what I do and I love helping people and watching that light bulb come on, my kids came first, my husband came first, making sure, because your family is your baseline. And
Mhm.
so if that baseline is off, I can't serve you fully because I got kids running around. I've got another kid that just really needed, like he was having seizures. It was insane. It's so
Mm.
like I could plan something, but if he fell out and had a seizure, then there went the rest of my day. And
Mhm.
so I had to learn how, like I took a really big hiatus from my business at that time because as we were trying to figure out what was going on with him. So like my business has been through a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I always kept the dream going. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, mainly women, we we sometimes see those points because when you have kids, anything can happen. Like
Mhm.
anything could happen, and you have to be willing to be flexible with that and maybe not put your dream on the back burner, but you have to adjust it in a way that supports the life that you have versus detracts from it. And I feel like that's where a lot of these coaches go wrong. If
Mm-hmm.
they don't, and that's why I shifted, because a lot of the coaches were like telling these moms, just put on blinders. And it's like, I wish to God I could put on blinders and just go in. But I literally have maybe 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there to work on an idea. And I don't have a whole weekend.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how my business evolved. And now, as things are a lot more open, we don't have that to deal with any longer. It's allowed me to be a bit more free, but still there are still constraints, because I still have the 2 kids at home, and just, that piece there alone, and making sure that they're good. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not saying that my kids are holding me back. That's not it at
Right.
all. It's just that you have to learn how to work within, you figure out what's important to you, what your values are,
Mm-hmm.
and you work within that. And so I don't, like, before I got clear on my values, I felt resentful of that. But it's like, wait
Mm-hmm.
a minute, my family is my highest priority.
Yes.
Creating that connection with my kids is my highest priority. So I'm not going to feel bad or be angry at that, because I chose that as my highest priority. And so that just makes things a lot more different. It makes me a lot more
Mm-hmm.
purposeful. So did I answer your question? I feel like I went down this roller coaster, because I mean, that's kind of what entrepreneurship is. It's like this.
Yeah. It is.
It's like
It
this
is.
roller coaster of stuff.
But yeah, what you were saying was definitely helpful, and it's something that I was actually talking to someone else about today, and we were talking about how you determine what your priority is first, and then set boundaries
Yep.
around that. Yeah, for sure. Now, you said that you work with moms who are neurodiverse. So
Yes.
what explain what that means?
So neurodiversity are pretty much people whose brains see things in a different way,
Okay.
and in a way that often impacts their day-to-day living. So yeah, we all think differently, but if the way my brain operates negatively impacts how I experience the world around me,
Mm,
that's a big deal. And so often under that neurodiverse umbrella is OCD, ADHD, autism, sensory issues, brain trauma, often under that umbrella of people whose brains don't don't necessarily operate how the collective has things created for them. And it's
okay.
not, it's not to say that they can't, it's just to say that maybe some people might need different supports. Like when I go network, I wear earplugs because I don't like a lot of loud noise. I like for things to be
Mm,
quiet and calm and peaceful.
mhm.
So yeah, that's the baseline of what neurodiversity is. And it's just people whose brains operate differently.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And so you're helping them to create a schedule that works for them and their
Right.
life.
Right. So oftentimes, like, speaking for me, because I'm diagnosed ADHD,
Okay.
oftentimes my ability to do what I want to do, what, like, my brain for some reason is like, yeah, girl, you can do all that. Yes, let's pile all that on, because I'm in this space where it's like, it's really exciting. So I have to watch
Yeah.
the dopamine rush, where I'll look out for things. If you wonder, like, why am I jumping from program to program, it may not be that you're uncommitted. It could just, like, your brain loves that dopamine rush of something new, starting it out, and then once it's not exciting anymore, you want to dump it.
Hmm.
So I've had to learn how to maintain my dopamine rush and things. I've had to
Hmm.
learn how to modify how schedules and things, like, I'll get a planner and I always modify it. I wanted to give these moms permission to modify, because a lot of the
Mm,
times, even if you're not neurodiverse, modifying something is often kind of frowned upon. It's like, just do it, like, just do it how you see it, and it's like, no, my brain sees it being done like this. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be better like that. And we don't do that because, we feel like we have to do it this particular way in order to be successful. So giving these moms permission to really deconstruct everything they know, really pull out what that priority is, and helping them to create systems and things for themselves to stay focused on what they say that priority is, even when the dopamine rush leaves.
Yeah.
Figuring out what type of supports they need. That's like another big thing, realizing that maybe you do need to get help around the house. Maybe you do
Mm-hmm.
need to stop going to the grocery store, and really begin to build supports and letting their loved ones know, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do this. And just to be able to have that freedom to create that life they desire.
Okay. Okay. So do you work with these moms like one-on-one, or do you have a program that they go through?
So right now I am in the midst of beta testing a VIP day. I used to
Okay.
have coaching programs, but my mom's with the dopamine rush, right? I put
Mm-hmm.
them in a 30 to 90 day program. They're really excited at the beginning. By the middle, they've ghosted. By the end, they realize they haven't done anything and they beat themselves up and they give up.
Mm,
So, and that's like that was just through testing. It's just like,
yeah.
okay, it's not working for them, and it wasn't working for me, because I too had the same thing. Like it just kind of waned. So I do VIP days, and it's one day, 4 hours. And all
Mm-hmm.
I do is I'm a resource. So I'm helping them to break down where their life is for real right now. And then we create a plan to support where they want to go over the next
Mm-hmm.
90 days, and a realistic where they want to go. Like, I always say, it would be nice to bump up a life area by one whole point in 90 days. But like, let's be real. You have a job, you have kids,
Right.
you have other responsibilities. You might only get a quarter of a way there in 90 days. And so, because in our brains, we want to go fast, we want to do it now, because we know that push to want to be connected only lasts so long for us. So we try to
Mm-hmm.
do everything fast, but then we burn out. And so the goal of it is to get them to see things in a present and in a more of a realistic term. That, let's look at the next year. What do you want it to look like? Not the next 5, but like the next year, the next 90 days. What is the thing you want to do? And then we bring that down from the year. Did that make sense? And I bring it down from the year ago. So that's what the VIP days are about. And when they leave, they have a plan for their next 90 days. And whatever coach or mentor or doctor or whatever they need to see, they now have a clear picture of where they need to go next. Oftentimes, women that have ADHD, we get really caught up in the what's going on now, so we can accurately choose where we're going to go to next, because our brains are just going like a little hamster wheel sometimes, as all the ideas that pop in. So I help them to take all those ideas and break them out. Help them take all those ideas and break them out so that they can have a clear point of view. Because that's one of the things that I learned about my ADHD. It's like it craves clarity, but
Yes.
man, it can create chaos like so quick, because everything is moving. And so teaching them how to constantly regain that clarity as life is moving helps them to not get caught up in the next shiny thing as often. It doesn't fix it totally. Like I'm not a magician in that perspective,
Right.
but helping them to at least know where to go back to when life gets kind of funky.
Gotcha. I like the idea of the VIP day, spending that 4 hours with them and just focusing on them and
Right.
their life. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Um, now, as and you you kind of talked a little bit about this, but so you have your business, you host a podcast, you're also a mom, so you're juggling, various responsibilities. How do you keep that balance, or maybe not balance?
I like balance.
Okay.
Balance is the word.
Okay.
Um, so I have support. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The first thing is I have support. I have gotten my family on board. They understand, we communicate, they know what's going on. The second thing is I don't do all the things. Everything
Okay.
is not within my lane to do. So I don't cook every night. I enjoy cooking, but like that's the other thing. Like my dream life, I'm in the kitchen like every day, like
Oh,
baking
wow.
and doing like that's every day I would be in the kitchen. So, but I don't have the bandwidth to cook every day. I have other things going on. So getting my kids, which are 12 and 22, to either learn how to make their own meals, or we work like lately we've been doing family prep.
Okay.
And so working on Sunday, prepping all the stuff for the meals and everything like that. So that's the first thing is I have support. I don't do all the things. I have delivery services. I have
Yes.
landscaping services. I have my next goal is like a personal assistant to go and grab the ish that I don't want to go drive because that takes time.
Yes.
So that's like the next goal is housekeeper and personal assistant. I had a housekeeper before, but we had to do some financial restructuring, and housekeepers are just like, oh my God, fabulous.
Yeah.
So, there's that. I have a lot of different supports. I have discovered where I am not at my strongest,
Mm-hmm.
and I farmed that out. I don't know if that's like the appropriate, but I gave it away, give it away, give it away, give it away.
Right.
I gave it
Outsource.
away to people where that's either their gift or I share the load with my family. The other thing that I do is I time block.
Mm-hmm.
Time blocking is a lifesaver for me because it's not saying that this is my schedule and I'm married to it and nothing can change, but it gives my brain a framework for the day because it's really easy for me to go, oh, look, a YouTube video. This is super cool. And and so I have multiple reminders. So I have reminders on my phone. I have sticky notes. I have my calendar. I have multiple touch points. I have alarms that go off. I have multiple touch points to keep me focused and in check. I have something I learned from Brenda Bashar called Friday Finishers. So again, and being present, I look at each week based on my big goal. By the end of this week, what are 1 to 3 things that absolutely I feel like need to be worked toward or completed in order for me to move closer to my goal? And because I know I have these Friday finishers, it's like this extra piece of accountability for me that if I say I want it to be here, if I say I want to quit my job in 335 days, I'm counting down, y'all. Am I doing things during this day that are supporting this thing that I say I want?
Mm.
And to me, ADHD does not preclude me having self-discipline and staying accountable and being structured. It doesn't say that I can't do it. It just says that I have to be more creative in how I do it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge taker of accountability. Like I know that a lot of the BS that I've experienced, it wasn't the ADHD, it was just the fact that I wasn't either disciplined. Yes, the ADHD did play a part in it, but it wasn't the sole cause of why maybe I didn't progress or I didn't do a thing that day. I'm learning how to rest. I no
Okay.
longer subscribe to the hustle and grind model. I take naps, lots of naps. I stretch throughout the day. I drink lots of water. I'm taking better care of me. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's so important. The sleep thing is really important though. Like if you haven't gotten on the nap train, I highly suggest that you visit the nap train. And even before the nap train, like if your brain is sometime like mine, where you are like having a million and one thoughts, just go like lay down and just like go release, just like release it and relax it.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, Debbie Allen? Relax, relate, release. Like just get relaxed, relate, release. Just lay there and don't try to take a nap. Don't force yourself. Just like when the thoughts come, like that's how I started. When the thoughts would come,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, relax. Thoughts will come, nope, relaxing. And now just keep breathing deeply. And sometimes I still have to do that. If I'm in a project and I'm really into it and my brain is going, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I need to take like my timer will go off for a break. And, my brain is like, girl, if we just stay here for like 5 more minutes, we'll get this done. And so I have to just sit in a quiet space and just like breathe and relax myself and not really forcing. So yeah, those are some of the things that I do to keep it together. Oh, my therapist and
Oh, wow.
and my coach and my mentor. So yeah, those pieces.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you've got it together. But
Years.
you've been doing this, yeah, for years. So that makes sense. And I love the fact that you utilize support. So your family, or whether it's hiring help, because a lot of times women, for some reason, we feel like we have to just do it all. And why? We definitely don't.
I haven't been in a grocery store in over a month. I will order
mm,
something and have it delivered because I know when I get in there, I'm gonna get overwhelmed. The sounds, the lights, all the people,
mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna end up spending more money than what I intended because I'm overwhelmed. So I try to stay out of stores as often as possible. They are overwhelming spaces.
Yeah, I've tried the grocery delivery a couple of times, but just some things I just don't want somebody else picking out for me. But so I go grocery shopping at 6 a.m. So right when the store opens, I'm in there with the staff. So because I don't want to be around a bunch of people either. They're in my way, they're making noise. So yeah, I'm
Your
the first
next
one
step
there.
is a personal assistant. A personal assistant will do that for you.
I would love that. Yeah, that's definitely on my list when I can afford it. A
Yes.
personal assistant and a chef.
Yes. Because prep work, I like to cook, but I don't like the prep work. Like
Mm,
the only thing I enjoy cutting up is garlic. Everything else,
interesting.
it
Okay.
smells like the smell for me is just like,
Okay.
I love the smell. I could cut garlic all day.
Oh wow.
That is a weird fact. Everything, like I hate cutting carrots because you have to skin them and then
Mm.
wash them. And then like carrots are team too much. I think that's why I don't cook them that much. It's like, I don't want to do all that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to do any of it. I just want to show up to eat and then hand somebody my plate and go about my business.
That is the dream.
Yes, for sure. Now, with entrepreneurship, we know it's like a roller coaster, like you
Yes.
said. What's a challenge that you've faced along the way, and how did you overcome it, if you overcome it?
I would say my biggest challenge was outsourcing. That was one of my
Okay.
biggest challenges because everything is in my head.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And so when I first outsourced, it was a disaster, not because the VA was a disaster, but because I just knew I needed help and I didn't know how to articulate that. And it was just like, it's been a real learning experience as I hire people, and it's just a learning experience each time. That was a challenge. Another challenge is, and how I overcame it is that I'm solutions oriented. So if I saw the first
Okay.
time it didn't work, I go, okay, well, what about it? Like Charmaine, what about it didn't work? And so I
Mm,
start breaking down the things. Okay, so you didn't know what you wanted. So she didn't know what to give you. So what do you want? Like, I had to sit up. What do you want? What do you want for him or her to do? What does that
mhm.
look like for you? Like how many hours? Like, so I had to really break that down as far as to what I want. And that's what, I don't want to say solved it, because each time you hire somebody different, there's kind of that same process.
Yeah.
I had a crazy coaching experience.
Hmm.
Um, it was crazy. It was really crazy. But again, I wasn't clear about what I wanted, right? I thought
Mhm.
that what I wanted was money. And I will give this coach this. That was like my highest earning year, but I was
Okay.
burned out. Like I had lost my values. I was burned out. I wasn't spending time with my family. I was
Oh,
sick. I hadn't taken, like, it was horrible, but if money was my goal, then, I hit that marker, but all the
yeah.
other stuff that is important to me, I wasn't. So again, Charmaine, what do you want? Let's get clear about that. What do you want? Okay. Now that you're clear about what you want, let's throw out all the other ish that is not in alignment with that. Okay, great. Now let's create a plan that helps you to get back on track. And I think
Right.
that's how I deal pretty much with every challenge in life. Most of the times when I have a challenge, I don't know about you, I realize that a piece of it I am somewhat responsible for,
Mhm.
because I wasn't really clear on where it is I was going, or what it was I was doing, or I was clear, but I just chose to step out of alignment in that moment because I thought it would get me to
Mhm.
someplace quicker. So
Yeah.
I realized that in each challenge that I've had, that there's some piece of accountability for myself. Like, in order for me not to go insane, not saying that I blame myself, but I have to believe that I can change it. And in order for me to
Yes.
believe that I can change it, I have to see my part in it so I can make different moves so it doesn't happen again. So
Right.
that's like my method of thought, is that I'm not blaming myself, but I need to see what I can do differently next time.
Mhm.
And some people go, well, sometimes there's nothing you can do differently. There's always something you can do differently. Every option isn't pretty and wrapped in a bow, and every option doesn't feel good. Sometimes both of the options suck, but maybe one option sucks less than the other option.
Right.
Um, so I like to look at it from that space
Mhm.
of, although I may not have been the aggressor or the meanie in that particular, how did I even get wrapped up in that?
Right.
What was not clear in my life that I even got wrapped up in it? Where do I need to possibly go get more therapy? Where do I possibly
Mhm.
need to talk to my coach? Or like, my husband and I talk a lot. He has really good advice. Men often tend to see things differently because they're really, kind of black and white. So like, I'll talk to him a lot and go like, this is what's going on. What do you think? And then he'll like break it down from a masculine point of view, which is so cool. So yeah, those are, like, I've had so many challenges, but I've had to pull back, which seems
Mhm.
counterintuitive. When you're in the middle of some shit, the last thing your mind wants to do is, girl, let's slow down and see what's going on. That's like the
Right.
last thing you want to do, because it's like, get me out of this. But often when you slow down and you go, okay, what's really going on? Is it really as bad as my brain is making it out to be? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we're in stuff and it's like, when you go, wait a minute, is this really this horrible, or am I just flipping out?
Right.
And it's kind of sitting in it. Then sometimes things change and it turns out that it wasn't a challenge, that it's actually a blessing. And if you just slow down and find out your lane in it, that it turns out to be beautiful. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. On this podcast, everyone that's interviewed is an introvert. Has being an introvert affected your business at all?
Thank God for the internet. Because I'm like an introvert extrovert. So
Okay.
I'll go to networking events and I'll sit in the corner for about 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
I try to find the person that I feel like, I find the other introvert in the room,
Okay.
and like, it's
That's
a
smart.
radar. And then
Mhm.
we kind of like use each other to build up the courage, I feel. And then I go forth
Mhm.
and I meet people. Um, I don't call it introverting. I call it energy saving. My energy,
Okay.
because I feel so much. And I think that's what it is. Because we feel so much, I'm not just going to go out there and like share my energy with you, because I don't know if
Right.
you're going to give me some bull. I don't know if we're on, like, I don't know. And I need to make sure that you are not what I deem as crazy. so we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's how I look at it. So I'm an energy saver because my energy is so precious. I'm really mindful about where I sling it at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's negatively impacted my business because online I am big and bodacious. Okay, let me tell you, I've loved this platform. In person, and it's funny, I can do speaking engagements, no problem. Like I can be on stage, no problem. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to events where there are multiple people or people are coming at me after I speak, because I often have a handler. So I'll
Okay.
choose a friend or a family member because they know that like I know you have questions and I think that's great, but I don't know you. And I'm like, so I have to have a handler because otherwise I'll come off as like that over there. And it's
Yeah.
just that that's just the nature of who I am. And I like things one-on-one. I don't like big groups.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. So it hasn't really impacted because I'm not, it's not like I have to go out and meet people in public all the time.
Right.
And I've learned how to find networking events that are really small and
Mm-hmm.
kind of boutique. And I search for those. I kind of avoid the ones with the music and like in big spaces. Like if I look at the venues and if the venue is like, maybe one of them was like this restaurant, right? And they were like in the basement of the restaurant. So like, okay, you're not going to have like 100 people in the basement of a restaurant, like not this particular restaurant,
Right.
or if it's just like a small like hall or something like that, then I go, okay, I'll go. And then I kind of look at the lineup, like, is there going to be a DJ there? Okay, nope. Okay, great. What's going to be going on? What are the timings? And I love events that show who's going to be there
Mm.
before you go. So you can kind of get a feel for the audience or the vibe and stuff. So I do a
Right.
lot of research for my introvertness. Because I
Okay.
know I have to, go people, but I try to make it as purposeful as possible so that I can show up as
Mhm.
my best self, my best awkward self, that I can show up as that and and at least have a good time and actually be present with people while I'm there.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's really helpful. I never thought about like researching the event beforehand or looking to see if they have a DJ, because if I go to an event and it's noisy, like I don't want to talk because I don't have a loud voice. And so now I have to try to
Right. And your
sing
voice is
and
shot by the end of the night because you're having to not
Mhm.
only scream over the voices of other people trying to scream over the DJ. I wish networking events would stop doing that. Like I know they do it to create a vibe, but
Mhm.
if I'm there to network and talk,
Yeah.
then having a DJ, if they're not playing like jazz or something in the background, this is not a party. I'm supposed to be networking.
Right.
Like, come on now.
Yeah, yeah. And then searching for that other introverted person, that's also smart. And I'm surprised I didn't think to do that, because that's what I would do. Like when I was in school, I
Yep.
would befriend the other introverted
In the
person in the
corner.
room. Yep. That's exactly what I would do. But yeah, I've never to go get me at a networking event.
Take a lot.
What I started doing was offering to volunteer to help out at the event. So that forces me to go. And then that forces me to have to move around because I'm doing something at the event. So, and I think it kind of tricks my mind because I'm not
I'm not
going.
networking.
Yeah, I'm going to work. So,
That's a good
yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those are like some of the things that I do. I don't think being an introvert is a negative thing. We hold
Mm-hmm.
the space. I think we hold the space for everybody.
Yeah.
So we're
For
needed. We
sure.
hold that energetic space that people don't know that they need, that those extroverts. 'Cause my husband's an extrovert, and it's so funny. Like we'll go someplace and I'm like, okay, my 60 minutes is up. I'm about to expire. Let's go. He's like, we just got here. And I'm like, yeah, no, we didn't, dog. We've been here for 59 minutes and 58 seconds. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Charmaine, it has been wonderful chatting with you. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners find out more about you and what you do?
You can go to thecharmedlife.me, and there you will find everything, darling. You will find the podcast episodes. You will find out when the next group is opening for my VIP. You'll find all types of juicy goodness there. The only social media platform that I play on consistently in this holy instant is LinkedIn. It's quiet,
Okay.
and it's quiet. I like LinkedIn.
Okay.
So I do have a Facebook and an Instagram profile. Everything is,
Mhm.
if you type in Charmed with Char, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, you'll find me there.
Okay.
And there's content there. So, and I'm also on YouTube. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm in different places, but I am active primarily on LinkedIn.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll check you out on your website and LinkedIn. Thank you again, Charmaine, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Shayla. This was fun.
You're welcome. Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. And thank you to our audience for listening.
Bye.
This has been another episode of the Building Her Dream podcast. If you've enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, leave us a review, and stay up to date with what we're doing by visiting www.buildingherdream.com.